What do you think explains the rise of Le Pen in France? Okay, it's the obvious question. Okay, why are there working people, though, who voted for her?
Okay. First, I want to thank Alexis Tsipras and Syriza for the organization of this event. I would like to start with Bernie Sanders' reaction after Donald Trump's victory. He tweeted, "When the Democratic Party abandons working class people abandon the Democratic Party." That one sentence sums up the failure of the left in recent years, not only in the US, but also in France. I recognize the workers of my own country in the Trump vote. I'm convinced that the shift of the people to the right and far right is rooted in a material cause, 40 years of globalization. This globalization has drawn a razor-thin line between winners and losers. The French industry has been destroyed. The working population in factories plunged from 30% to around 10% today. French elites considered that it was a good news. Industries belong to the past, services were the futures. Factories weren't paradise, but they provided secure jobs with trade unions, with correct wages, enough to buy your own home, to come during holidays, to get through life. This stability fell apart. The unemployment rate for unskilled workers suddenly was multiplied by 4, while it stagnated for middle-class professions. This economic divide has become a political one. The working class and the educated class have drifted apart. The two traditional pillars of the left split apart. One side got hit hard. They refused globalization. But the media, the parties, were in the hands of educated people. They weren't hurt, neither them nor their families, by globalization. They accepted it. That's what I call the passivity of the educated. Even worse, the elites, the French elites, but also the left elites, took part in this globalization. Pascal Lamy, who was a member of the Socialist Party, directed the World Trade Organization. Jacques Delors, another member of the Socialist Party, built this Europe, and he enlarged it to the east, where a lot of factories delocalized. When workers refused it, they were denounced as archaic, as nationalists by the elite, and even by the left. For instance, 20 years ago, during the referendum about the Constitution of Europe, 55% of French people rejected it. It was over 80% among working class people. It was a strong class vote. At that time, the daily newspaper Libération, that supports the left, called it an epidemic of populism. The gap between the left and the working class had a material basis, but it deepened with a cultural division. There was a lot of contempt towards ordinary people, towards their leisure interests. Soccer, playing the accordion, pétanque, camping, barbecue, cars, their tastes were mocked. Even the national symbols, the Marseillaise, the French flag, were snubbed by leftist educated people. Something changed also in the line. Until the 70s, in the left, all speeches opposed rich people or working class people, big money at the top and small guys at the bottom. But they decided that this view was out, that the world had become more complex, that Marxism belonged to the past, and so on. At the same time, the Front National, the far-right party, took a frank stand against this Europe, against globalization, asked for trade protections. They embraced French symbols, of course, but also showed no disregard for the normal way of life. And above all, they pointed at a cause, a devil agent, the strangers, the immigrated people. Born as a classic racist and fascist party, they widened with the economic crisis and with the left demission. I have seen it in my own region in northern France. It was an industrial area, but factories were sent to Romania, India, China. For 1 century, people elected socialists and communists. I'm now the last left-wing MP outside major cities. So, what can do the left now? What do we try to do? Once again, I appreciated the reaction of Bernie Sanders after Trump's election. Don't give up, he said. and keep on talking to everyone about healthcare, about lodgings, about wages. I think, first, we must make the choice to love our people, to embrace them, whatever. I don't mean it's always easy, but that's a priority if we intend to build a majority. Then, we must divide the world clearly in two sides, between rich people and the working class people. We must point out this time of amazing inequality. We must fight faces, situations, sentences, figures to show it every day. Because we got a big difficulty, working class people don't see rich people anymore. Their bosses, the shareholders, don't live in the same area anymore. They don't see their castles, their luxury anymore. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, Whirlpool suddenly decided to shut its plants in my city and to lay off all the workers. But when I heard them, they were talking about immigrants, about refugees. Hey, I asked them, did immigrants decide to send your factory to Poland? No. So the following week, I came with a flyer. I had put on the face of Jeff Fatigue. Do you know who is Jeff Fatigue? No. The point is, the workers didn't know either. He was the CEO of Whirlpool, the one who decided to shut the plant. On my tract, I had also put a picture of his house with a tennis court, with a swimming pool, with a beach near the sea, with 17 rooms and 17 bathrooms, a modern castle. If the workers could have seen this big villa next to their factory, their anger would have been immediately directed against this man and not against immigrants and refugees. It's our job to build this link between rich and poor, between cause and effects. What we must say, I think, with us, with the left, wealth will be shared. We must be the party of equality, the party of sharing. We must also be the party of protection, to share and to protect. Such are the two verbs I cherish. Working people, their families have been deeply struck, shaken by these 40 years of globalization. We must ensure protection of their job, of their revenues, of the nation. Protection is a condition for the changes we want and for the changes people want. Because, and I will conclude on this optimistic view, people have a deep desire for something else. They are tired of a globalization that they never wanted. The spontaneous movement of the Gilets jaunes showed it strongly. It was a profound, strong revolt, a revolt for fiscal justice, a revolt for democratic change, but above all, I would say, a metaphysic revolt against fate, against the hopeless world order.
Mr. Ruffin, what is the role of oligarchs and billionaires in supporting the extreme right?
I think we must link it with the crisis of the neoliberal camp, the crisis of traditional center parties. They are now ideologically, politically out of breath. So, in this context, we could divide French oligarchs in three categories. The ones still on the neoliberal side, who keep some distance with the Rassemblement National. The ones that frankly support Marine Le Pen's party because they are conservative, racist, or traditional Catholics. And between these two poles, most of the billionaires increasingly think that the Rassemblement National would be the best means to keep on going in the same way, to defend their interests. They bet on a different horse to be sure that nothing changes.
So, should we do something to combine the forces between the other side of the Atlantic? There are many movements. They used to have this movement, the Occupy Wall Street, which was connected with Athens in the Great Crisis in the start of the 10s. Should we combine with them, or should we make some new goals? Where should be the focus of the progressive policies are?
Yes, I think that links between left movements around Europe and through Atlantics are necessary. When I hear Bernie Sanders, that gives me some strength. When I see Spain, that gives me some hope. And I have next to me my friend, member of French Parliament, Pouya Amir Shahi, who took an initiative of this sort. If you allow me, he could present his proposal rapidly, the dam.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hello everybody, and thank you for your initiative, which is very, very useful for every Democrat in the world. So my name is Pouryan Eshei. I'm a MP from Paris, and with several other colleagues, deputies, senators, European MPs, we want to build on an international scale a dam against the far right and the rise of neo-fascism you're talking about. Our base of observation is that solidarity networks between the progressists worldwide are weaker than ever, as François said. We are planning on going to countries who have fallen into illiberalism and to learn about their current situation in Hungary, in Argentina, in several countries. I'm going to the US, specifically DC and New York next week, and I'd like to have to meet every progressive MPs there. The goal is to link the actors of an international progressist alternative and to share knowledge and facts to create a front of resistance, and to do so even when taking into account our national interests and differences, which we all want to defend. The goal is to overall study together what could constitute a worldwide fight back. You are each and every one of you a spokesperson in your country for this alternative, and to the dam a reference point when building this worldwide network. Thank you for listening.